Hey everybody, so about almost exactly a year ago, September 2020, I posted a video called Back to Normalcy, last sick video ever. And I kind of thought at that point that I was better, right? If you watched all the videos before that, you could see how I kind of randomly got this really bad illness. My body stopped making blood, did biotherapy, started some new medications, and my blood counts were back to normal at that point. I went back to work full time. But spoiler alert, I'm here making another video about this journey. So things did not end up as I was hoping at that time. But watch the rest of the video to kind of see the journey I've been through over the last year. So I had actually only started working full time for a couple weeks, and then I was in this car crash right next to my house. The car had a good life, thankful that it wasn't worse. I don't have any injuries. But because I had so many blood issues with blood clots and bleeding, I told the responders that, yeah, I do feel more comfortable if I'm checked out in case I have any internal bleeding. So I was taken away in an ambulance. When I got to the emergency room, they treated me like a trauma victim. You're surrounded, you're just like laying down, and 5 to 10 nurses are quickly like cutting off your clothes and examining your whole body. They did x-rays, full body CT scans, everything for me to make sure I didn't have any internal bleeding. And thankfully, they didn't find anything as bleeding wise. They did tell me that they found a small mass on my thyroid, but it could be, anything. So get it checked out eventually, but not something super critical. So home now, and the whole thing was kind of traumatic. So the cat and dog were there to greet me. It was really nice. This time when I was in a car crash and had Allie there to talk to the police, and Kushal messaging me saying that he's following the ambulance, and then again Allie to be at the hospital in the emergency room and drive me home. It was just really nice to be so surrounded by people. I'm lucky to be okay. Thinking back, the car crash was actually pretty bad and scary. But I'm even more lucky to have been surrounded by people that I know. People had things to do, but at midnight they were willing to come for me for my comfort. If you watch the other videos, I survived a lot without that, and I'm stronger now than I used to be. But there's something to really appreciate, knowing that there are people there for you in the hospital waiting room, and just words fully can't describe how nice it was this time around. Police-wise, it actually wasn't my fault at all, apparently, for the car crash. The other person didn't stop at the stop sign, and so I ended up T-boning them, but everything was covered by the other person's insurance. So, other than the car crash, where I seemingly was healthy, I'm back to work full-time this month. I'm buying a new car because of that car crash. A friend and I are taking this big vacation to Florida. And I've been wanting to buy another house, so I'm signing to close on that soon also. Lots going on, but glad to be back at it. These are some things from my Orlando trip. We had a really nice time, did this whole road trip. I thought I was better, right? Went to Orlando Universal Studios with my friend, and we did over 3,000 miles over 3 weeks. And then when I came back from the trip was when I said, I'll start following up on this thyroid mass. So to do that, they do the fine needle biopsy, where they stick needles in your neck and touch your mass with a needle to try to take some cells from it. That actually took about an hour this time. They used 11 needles to try to get a sample of my thyroid. And of course, they're making sure I don't have cancer again. So that happened, and that same day I went to pick up the car that I bought. Just thinking, getting a little more worried. The results came back that I do have a cancer, but not definitive what kind. So really, really stressful time. I'll admit I wasn't very upfront with, publicly announcing the news. So this is kind of the first post alluding to something being brought cancer-wise. So even though I did this whole road trip, I'm coming to the realization that, if you've recently been around someone who's sick or if you're feeling symptoms, please, let me know before you see me. I'm taking a lot more precautions now than I was, And just to note, this is almost exactly 365 days since I was first diagnosed, or first, sick for all of this. Crazy how time flies. But, still thankful for things. Day number 365. And I still have these really amazing movie nights with my nieces and their dog. So like I said before, we knew that I had some kind of cancer in my lymph nodes, but we weren't sure which kind. The test wasn't definitive. So getting more tests, I was pushing doctors to say that we need more tests to determine what kind of cancer this is. Again, really taking a toll on me, just mentally and physically. Pretty tired. I don't know if it was stress or what, but my body has so many minor infections right now. Either it's really bad luck, or I'm so stressed, or there's bad things in my body, maybe related to this cancer, or just all of the above. I also asked to get a colonoscopy because I was having trouble with bowel movements, making sure, for the off chance it's colon cancer, even though, it's very unlikely to have reached the lymph nodes in my neck. Did that. Also requested a second biopsy because they told me they didn't have enough samples from my thyroid mass to really determine what kind of cancer it was. They moved that up 4 days. This was contrary to doctor's suggestion. The doctors really just wanted to take out my thyroid and then determine if it was thyroid cancer or not, which is actually apparently more common than you think, but I really pushed to get a second test before any operation. Also to note, the first time I had the finite needle biopsy, one of the people stuck herself with my needle on accident. On a good note, because we were already talking on the phone so often, she said that she could move up my schedule, actually, to get my second biopsy, which is really nice of her. She also specifically asked that, a doctor that's done this multiple times did it the second time, because the first time I just had a doctor in training, and I had a whole panic attack the first time. I don't like needles and blood, and they just kept poking me and kind of digging around my neck with these needles, so it really created this panic attack. But the second time went a lot faster, a lot smoother, and then I'm doing all these medical things, trying to also do my job as an engineer on top of these biopsies and working. I finally went in for the colonoscopy. I couldn't eat solid foods up to the colonoscopy, which is really angering. And for colonoscopies, they actually completely put you under anesthesia, which is surprising because I had so many other procedures like bone marrow biopsies without full anesthesia. But that was nice to actually be fully knocked out for this. And finally, I could eat food again, which was great. Also, a positive note at this time from a couple years ago, my patent as an engineer was fully approved. So that was some positive news despite all of this chaos. I am a patent holder. But, back to real life. The second biopsy that they did, this time they did a core sample, which is actually a pretty more intense needle where they kind of confirmed that I do have papillary thyroid cancer on my thyroid and in my lymph nodes. So I'm scheduled to get my thyroid and lymph nodes removed in a few weeks. So yeah, not quite out of the weeds yet.